The Amazing Race 38, Episode 3. Let's talk about it. So, the teams are continuing to race through the Czech Republic, and as expected with a Big Brother cast, there is a lot of strategizing that comes into play this episode, and I like it. So we start off seeing that Jazz and JJ, they were the first team to arrive in the previous leg, so the first team to depart, of course. And instead of moving forward, they decide to wait 30 minutes for Adam and Joseph and Natalie and Stephanie. So we already see now this is a solid alliance. They call themselves the Trainwreck Alliance because of the train fiasco of the last episode. Cute name, it works, it fits, and I like it. I'm here for the Trainwreck Alliance, if I'm being honest. JJ are really, really smart. They're thinking ahead, so they already get the directions so that by the time Adam and Joseph and Natalie and Stephanie are ready to start the leg of the race, they already have the directions and they can all just take off at the same time. Within their clue, they are already told ahead of time that there is a driver's seat that is coming up. So, with this information and a Big Brother cast, what do? They strategize. And at first, I kind of wasn't really a big fan of the show telling them that there's a driver's seat ahead of time because I like the moments when the teams don't know if it's, a U-turn or something they come across, and in that moment they have to make a decision. Maybe it's not the best decision because it's not as well thought out, but if it's messy and it's good TV, it works for me. But they did have the advantage of knowing that the driver's seat was coming up. It's something that they're already familiar with, so they know that they're going to have to decide what teams are going to have the easy, medium, hard, what teams are going to have to do the challenge at a higher level, at a medium level, and at a lower level. JJ is thinking ahead and they don't want the target on their back to become even bigger. So they're already of the mind to let one of the other teams in their alliance take the driver's seat and make the decision so they can look like the bad guy and get the blood on their hands. JJ also makes the comment that there's strength in numbers, and in the Amazing Race, it is beneficial to have teams that are looking out for each other, but they do say that they're going to run their own game at a later point in the race. I trust them. I think that they're really smart, they're really savvy, and they're going to know when that time is to pull the trigger. But for now, with so many teams still in play, they're not going to ruffle any feathers. Like I said, they don't want to make their target even bigger. So they're just going to let another team take that driver's seat and get the blood on their hands. So when the three teams, the Trainwreck Alliance, get to the roadblock, they strategize as to how they're going to distribute the driver's seat. And it's decided that Natalie and Stephanie are going to be the team that takes the driver's seat and makes those decisions. They decide that they're going to give the all-female teams the lower level difficulty. JJ as well as Joseph and Adam volunteer to take the hard level, and then they pick some other teams to be the medium kind of second level. They don't know what it is yet, and when they get there, there's 2 hours until the roadblock actually opens, so they have plenty of time to talk it over. I think at this point in the game, that was meant to be an equalizer, but it didn't really help so much. It really seems like in the front of the pack, it is the Trainwreck Alliance and Eric and Tucker that's constantly on their heels. The name of the roadblock is Who's Feeling Tapped Out. So if I was playing and I heard that, I would automatically think it was going to be something that's labor intensive. So I would be looking at my partner like, you got this, right? Because no, it doesn't. That doesn't sound like a tie challenge. And I believe that's what JJ thought too, or maybe it was Adam and Joseph, but one of the other teams kind of had the same train of thought. And then they discover that it's actually filling beer bottles. So they're at a brewery and they have to use a tap and fill the beer bottles correctly. So nothing physically exhausting, but it is a task that requires patience. So this isn't a speed challenge because you have to slowly pump the CO2, trying to, just kind of find the rhythm and figure out like that you have to go slower with this one. So everyone was making a mess. So for the first time in the race so far, we see Jazz struggling. We see JJ not just like flying through and breezing through a challenge like they were the ones that made it. everyone, to be fair, everyone except for Natalie was struggling with this challenge, but it was entertaining to see them, like getting it wrong and having the beer spray all over them. So you know that they were sticky, you know that they were smelly, they were making a mess. And really, what that roadblock taught them is that you have to have patience. But other than that, the roadblock itself didn't seem too difficult. Once you get the rhythm and the hang of it, it seemed like something that anybody could pick up and do. The Trainwreck Alliance has a huge lead in front of the other teams, but the middle of the pack teams are starting to make their way through the Czech Republic. Izzy makes a comment that her and Paige, their mentality through the race is that they're not powering through, but they're really seeing it as a learning experience. And I like that. She also mentioned she has 3 useless degrees. I don't know what those degrees are. Hopefully, at least one of them is a little bit useful. She is a flutist, so I'm going to assume one of those degrees probably is something music related, and I'm sure that's helped her. The other two, who knows? Hannah and Simone say that their mantra throughout the race is that they're running it as if they're in last place, as if they're behind. And I think that's a strong mentality to keep that fire under you, to keep that, just kind of pressure going, not getting complacent, not feeling like, oh, we have all this time, we have all these teams behind us. It's like, no, I think they're really, really focused as a team. And just because of the dynamic of the game or the structure of the game so far, we haven't really seen major equalizers, and the train fiasco in episode 2 really kind of threw a monkey wrench in almost every single team's plans. So I'm hoping to see them get ahead and to start running the front of the pack alongside or actually overtake the Trainwreck Alliance. Like, I like the Trainwreck Alliance. I really like JJ. I really like Natalie and Stephanie. Um, Adam and Joseph are fine with me too. But watching a season where one team or one alliance is just like a powerhouse from the beginning to the end, it's not really that exciting. I like to see more of a struggle. I like to see more of a back and forth, especially in a show like The Amazing Race, where there's so many factors that are outside of their control, whether it be transportation, bad directions, delays, getting lost, whatever it is. So I do want to see the teams really, kind of like fighting to get ahead, and maybe teams that are ahead falling behind and then climbing their way back up. I just think it's more interesting television that way. At the beer who's tapped out roadblock, Stephanie is very, very knowledgeable about beer taps, and she's the first one to complete it with ease. She also only had 1 crate to do, whereas the other 2 teams in her alliance had to do 3 crates, and they also assigned Tucker and Eric 3 crates to do as well. So her and Natalie are done. They get directions for the next part of the race, and because they're in their Trainwreck Alliance, they write down the directions for their other 2 alliance members and put them on their cars. And they're saying, like, we hope they see it, because they didn't put it on the windshield in the front. That would be like too obvious. And another team could walk by and be like, ooh, what's this? Being nosy. And I don't think there's anything in the rules against, finders keepers. So they put it like on the back part of the car. They like tucked it by the license plate. And great teamwork, ladies. Great teamwork. They're already one of my favorite teams, and I love how they're looking out for each other. We're starting to see the benefits of an alliance, a strong alliance. And like I said, these are Big Brother players, so they know how to game, right? And as they're on the floor, like writing out the directions, JJ ends up finishing, and they see them do it, and they're just like, oh my gosh, thanks, girls. Like, they're so grateful to them. And that moment, you can see that JJ are really affirmed in their decision to, work with these other 2 teams, to wait for these other 2 teams when they could have got out of there. I think they had about a 30-minute head start above Natalie and Stephanie and Adam and Joseph. They could have just started the race and be like, okay, I mean, we'll catch up with them there and we'll help them when we get there. But they decided to wait, and their decision making is definitely paying off because the girls are paying it forward. And I think that this is going to be a really, really strong alliance moving forward. Adam is the racing partner who is doing the tapped out challenge, and he does admit that he can feel his blood sugar getting low. He is diabetic. He is able to push through and complete it, but when he said that, I was getting a little nervous. I'm like, Adam, don't pass out on us, okay? If you need to stop and drink an orange juice or eat a candy bar or something, please do that. I don't know if that's against the rules, but he was able to complete it. There was only one beer bottle he had to redo because I think it was like overfilled, but he got through it, pretty easily. And luckily, when him and his brother were finished and they got out to check their car, they did find the directions from the girls. This leg of the race is all self-driving. So the teams have to navigate to a field where they have to plow themselves through the dirt to find their next clue to go to the next place. Not my cup of tea. Manual labor, dirt, repetitiveness, needle in a haystack, outside is hot, or they're in Prague or they're in Czech Republic, probably not hot, but you just get hot doing stuff like that. It's too much work. Like I said, wouldn't be my cup of tea, but I wouldn't have a choice because both team members have to do it. So like one team member was in the back to steer, and then the other team member was like strapped into the front, and they were like the horse, like the mule, and they had to like plow through and pull the plow contraption. I don't know the official name for it. And the field was huge. Okay. Even though the field was really big, and this could be the editing, it seemed like it didn't take the teams that long to find the clue. It didn't seem like they had to keep going like all the way up and all the way back, and then another row, all the way up and all the way back. It seemed like they were just getting it their first time, just like going through one lane of dirt, and then they were able to get the clue. Eric and Tucker are actually able to jump ahead of Adam and Joseph because Adam and Joseph stopped to confirm their directions. So, like I said, I think we're going to see the Trainwreck Alliance kind of like targeting Eric and Tucker as their targets, as their primary competitor, because they're always on their tail and kind of like inching for first place. But Adam and Joseph do make it not too far behind them to the plow challenge. Back at Who's Tapped Out, we see the middle of the pack team starting to arrive. So Rubina gets there. She's super confident because she's like, I've been a bartender. I've done taps a million times. I'm fine. I mean, she was fine for the most part, but she still had that spout spraying all over her, making a mess, just trying to understand the pressurization and the timing of it and taking her time with it. So it seemed like the teams all had fun with it. They're like laughing at themselves, getting all wet with beer and things like that. Jack and Chelsea, they were struggling with directions this challenge, and I know just that has to be just so frustrating. It's bad enough just in regular life when you try and get somewhere and your GPS is messing up, or you miss a turn, or you don't know what you're looking for and you're getting lost. They're in another country with a map trying to rely on directions from strangers that are also from a foreign country, so it's going to get complicated. There was one scene where they had pulled over to get out of the car to ask for directions, and they were actually parked at a bus stop. It was in the bus lane, and the bus is like get out the way, and they're like, ugh. I was getting worried for them because it seems like all this time is going by and they're still lost and just driving around. And in the Amazing Race, you do not have time for that. They're hoping and praying that another team is as lost as them, but that wasn't the case. Luckily, they're not all the way at the back of the pack, but that's how you get yourself at the back of the pack. Like I said, the plowing challenge doesn't seem as physically grueling because it just doesn't seem like it takes the teams that long to get it. And once Adam and Joseph are finished, they get in the car and the car is giving the signal like no key found. And they're like, where's the key? Can't find the key. Good job, boys. So they don't waste too much time fumbling around in the car, because if the car is telling you no key found, the key is not in the car. The key is not on your person. It's not in your fanny pack. It's not in your pockets. It's not in your jacket. It's not in your backpack. You do not have it on you. So they have to go back out into the field to find their car keys, which could have been a huge nightmare. Luckily for them, they go out in there and they get it. Again, it could be the editing, but it seems like it doesn't take them that long to find it. It seems like they just went down, one time up that one row that they plowed, and they're just like, oh, here's the key. So for them, they really had two needle in the haystack challenges. First was find a clue. Second was find your damn car keys. And they need to do a better holding on to their stuff. We've seen in other seasons of The Amazing Race where teams have like left their passports behind and like you're out. So I hope that was a wake up call for them to just pay more attention to having, everything you need with you and double checking and making sure that you have it before you rush and run and move on. And for real, they don't need to be, it's a race. It's a race. So you are rushing, but they're pretty cozy in the top three. They have an alliance that's looking out for them. So it's not like they're under like a whole lot of pressure, like, oh my gosh, we're in the bottom two and it's going to be us or them. Like they're not in that type of situation. So I'm like, boys, please focus. Because I want to see the alliance be successful. I really do. The next challenge is actually a second roadblock. So I was like, okay. I was expecting a detour next, but nope, two roadblocks. So most of the teams, one person did the first roadblock and then the other team member did the second roadblock. Also helps keeping things balanced and even because there are rules that each team member has to do the same amount of roadblocks. They changed that rule like many, many seasons back. The clue for the second roadblock was who wants to light the lamp? So if I was playing and I read that, I would be thinking like an old like oil lamp, like you're going to be somewhere dark and you have to, or maybe you're not dark in the dark yet, but you have to maybe like learn how to light an oil lamp, which I have no idea what that process is. Or you have to use an oil lamp to look for something. My guess was totally wrong. They were just standing outside like this building. The building wasn't really marked, or if it was written in Czech, so that's not really helpful either. Except for Hannah, she can probably read Czech too. But I was totally off. It was hockey. That's what they had to do. I don't know. I might have missed the correlation, like lighting the lamp. I don't know if that's a hockey term. I don't watch hockey. Maybe it is, but that was the roadblock. Well, that's what they had to do. So the teams, they actually had these like really cute like hockey jerseys and they were customized and had their names printed on the back and they had to get out on the ice and there was another hockey player that would like shoot the puck to them. They had to shoot it back to them and you're like skating going down the rink and then the hockey player would shoot it back to the player and then the player had to make a goal. However, to make it a little more difficult, most of the goal was blocked. There was like a cardboard cutout thing. So there were only 3 small openings where the hockey puck could actually slide through. It looked really, really difficult. And there were several teams that were saying, like, I don't know how to skate or I haven't skated since childhood. They were flying. They were doing so good at this challenge. I was shocked. I'm like, luck, I guess untapped skill. I don't know if it was me doing that. I can't ice skate for the record. I can't ice skate. But as far as trying to shoot the puck and the goal with most of it being blocked, I don't know how I would have fared on that part, but it wasn't taking them that many tries. I was impressed. For example, Jag admits that he hasn't ice skated in a while, but he gets it on his second attempt. That's almost like JJ got the juice. JJ got the juice. I don't care what nobody says. Like, this is their game. I really think that they're going to win. I really do. Unless something like crazy happens, but they just seem to be so adept at anything that's thrown at them. Natalie admits that she can't skate at all, but she gets it on her third attempt. I'm like, go girl. Like, y'all are crushing it. Trainwreck Alliance is crushing it. And I'm curious if the other teams are going to start catching on to it. Catching on to number one, they are an alliance. Right now, they're very insulated because they're so far ahead of the other teams that I don't know. I don't think that the rest of the teams that are racing can tell that they're actually in an alliance or how strong they are as an alliance. So right now they're getting away with it, which like I said, that's fine with me because I'm team Trainwreck Alliance right now. Joseph also gets it in a handful of attempts, even though he can't ice skate at all. So like I said, I was very impressed that they were able to just like crush this challenge. So JJ, they are the first to complete it. and they debate whether or not to give the win to Natalie and Stephanie. One, because it was, gosh, I think Natalie's birthday the next day. I should double check. Yes, because it was Natalie's birthday the following day. So kind of like a birthday present. And also because Natalie and Stephanie chose to, sacrifice some time when they were writing out the directions after the Who's Tapped Out challenge. So I really like this moment that JJ decided they did decide to let Natalie and Stephanie have the win. I think it was for, out of the kindness of their hearts, also out of fairness and also out of strategy because they don't, they're already a big target as is. They already got that fast pass in their back pocket that ain't nobody forgot about. And instead of being seen, instead of being the team that's won 3 legs in a row, now it's only 2 legs in a row, and the third one they came in second place. So, lower the threat level a little bit. It's a win-win situation. I'm all for buying favors with other teams. Like I said again, I think that JJ are very, very smart and strategic, and this was a very good game decision that they made. And it's something that in the future, if it comes down to it, like let's just say the last 3 teams, and not this isn't necessarily my prediction, but let's just say the last 3 teams towards the end of the race are the Trainwreck Alliance, right? Or even another part of the game that's even sooner than that. Natalie and Stephanie could feel indebted to JJ and will help JJ over even Adam and Joseph, another member of their alliance, because JJ was kind to them and gave them that first place win. So they arrived at, about the same time, and JJ told them, they said, you can go ahead and take the first place. And Natalie and Stephanie won a trip to, or no, they didn't win a trip. They won $2,500 each. Okay, more money in the bank. We love that. We love that. So very, very nice and kind from JJ. And I think just that they put out good karma in the world. Like I said, it's also like a game, so it's a strategy thing too. But I got the impression that also within their hearts, they're like, it is Natalie's birthday, and they did wait for us to write out their directions. They didn't have to do that. They really do have our back. So let's like kind of pay it forward to them. I think that they put out good karma and that they're going to continue to receive good karma back as a result. The middle of the pack and the end of the pack teams are, they're getting through the beer tap challenge, kind of as expected. The foam's getting all over the place. They're making a mess. That's taking up some time. Jack and Chelsea, they were surprised to see that they were giving 3 crates. And I was a little surprised too. I'm not sure if they're seen as a threat by the Trainwreck Alliance per se. I don't know. I might have missed that, what the kind of thought process was behind that, but I probably would have just given them 2 crates. So yeah, they were just kind of like, dang, okay. Chelsea was like, all right, giving us 3 crates. Thanks, girls. But we do see them, finishing it with moderate difficulty, as expected. After Rubina and Christine finish the tapped out challenge, Rubina is feeling overwhelmed. She's starting to cry. She was also driving, and they make a very, very good game call, good game decision. She switches with her sister because crying and driving do not go good together, especially not in the Amazing Race. So they switch just so she can calm down. She's feeling overwhelmed. That's fine. It's not a bad thing to be emotional. Just recognize your emotions and make the adjustment. So I was like, okay, they're doing the right thing. They do see the other team, some other teams running towards the pit stop. So they do pull over and get out, but they're just like, wait, this might be the pit stop. So I'm glad that they caught that error and they stay on track. They keep driving to get to the plow challenge so that they get the clue that takes them to the next step. Christine also ends up getting the hockey goal on her first try. So go girl. Like I was loving seeing them do it. But then on the other hand, it makes me think, I'm like, are these challenges difficult enough? I don't know. It looks harder. Like when I watched it, I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna be there all night, taking like 10, 15 tries. But no, they were all getting it pretty easily. Kylan and Taylor are still at the back of the pack, and I like Taylor from her season. I like Kylan because he was a part of the Cookout Alliance from his season. And I was honestly hoping to see more screen time of them. They kind of got shafted with the train fiasco, and their train was one of the ones. They were in the group of racers where their train was actually canceled. So they got like set way, way back, which is again why I'm really, really craving an equalizer. I want to see these teams all start off together, like next leg, like everybody, or like the next thing. I want a really a nice hard reset. I want to see the teams that I like fight to keep their position, at the top. I want to see other teams that I like that are more towards the middle or the back of the pack climb and get their way up there. I want to see more competition. Kylan does open up about his ADHD and his autism diagnosis as an adult. And he talks about the communication challenges that poses within his relationship, like interpreting and taking things literally. They kind of laugh about that a little bit. And we're starting to see, like I said, some of Kylan and Taylor, but not as much as I expected, to be honest. And they keep coasting in ninth place. So I want to see them pick it up. I want to see them, climb up to like fourth place or third place or something. Like, I think that together they're a strong team. They don't seem to be struggling too much with the challenges themselves. But I think right now it was just kind of like that bad hand, luck of the draw thing where their train was canceled in the previous leg. So they're just like really a lot of hours behind the rest of the teams. The other back of the pack teams, Kat and Alex and Megan and Matt. Let's talk about Megan and Matt. They're driving, they're talking about their relationship and how it's more beneficial to be cool, calm, and collected versus being stressed out. Now, I agree with that. That's fine in life, but y'all are racing. They're too chill for me. I get the feeling that they don't have that hunger, that drive, that like I need to win, just that competitiveness. I think they're a really sweet couple. They've been together for a long time. They seem like they really do complement each other, and they're not stressed out or bothered about anything. We do see Matt kick his ass into gear a bit though when he gets to that tapped out challenge, and it's down to him versus Alex, who was the player that decided to do it. And Alex, I don't know what Alex was doing. He kept pouring out so many of his beer bottles because he's visually looking at him like, oh, this isn't going to pass. This isn't going to be right. So he's like dumping him out and do it all over again. And Kat is looking at him like, what is he doing? But we know that the players that aren't doing the roadblock cannot communicate or help out their teammates. So she kind of just has to watch him waste time and waste beer all over the place. And Matt is going faster. And like I said, this isn't like a speed type of challenge, but he figures it out and he gets done pretty quickly. Alex and Kat get to the Who Wants to Light the Lamp roadblock, and it is Alex who does it. And it is taking him forever. This is the first team or the first person that we've seen doing this roadblock that is struggling, that's not getting it in like less than 10 tries. It takes him 25 times. He was out there forever. So I'm thinking, okay, Matt and Megan, they could jump ahead, but self-driving challenge, they get lost with directions. They fall way, way far behind to the point that when they go out to the plow to, find the clue, it's every racer's worst nightmare. Phil is standing out there. It's dark outside, and he's like, you know what I'm about to say. Everybody already done checked in. I'm ready to go to bed, and y'all going home. So they were eliminated on the field. I feel like that's the worst way to go out because you didn't even finish the leg. You didn't even finish all the challenges. They took it well, They have a really, really positive disposition. They have a good attitude about it. They seem like the type of people that's just like in their nature. So they were like, okay, we still have each other. We don't have the $1 million, but we still have each other. And I'm like, yeah, but y'all were racing for $1 million. So I don't know. I predicted last week that they were going to be going home either this leg or the leg after. And I was right because They just didn't have, as you know, like a really strong competitive drive, I think, for this show. Um, not enough urgency. That's what it was. Not enough urgency going through the race. So they're out, and unless there's an equalizer or some other, transportation issues or navigation challenges occur, I think that Kat and Alex will be next, unfortunately. So far, the teams have been finishing in roughly the same position. So I don't know if an equalizer is coming next. The preview looked like they were doing some kind of like juggling circus trick, something like that. That's something that's not a really common skill set. So maybe that will push some teams either ahead, surprisingly, or fall behind. We'll see, but it looks like it should be interesting at least. So for the finishes of episode 3, we have Natalie and Stephanie in first place, winning $2,500 each, courtesy of JJ. JJ in second place, literally 1 minute after Natalie and Stephanie, intentionally did that to reduce the size of their target. In third place is Tucker and Eric. Fourth place, Joseph and Adam. Fifth place is Hannah and Simone. Izzy and Paige in sixth place. Rubina and Christine in seventh place. Chelsea and Jack in eighth place. Kyland and Taylor, I don't know if they're cursed or whatever, but they're still in ninth place. And in 10th place, Kat and Alex. And as I said earlier, Megan and Matt didn't even complete the leg of the race. They were eliminated out on the field. So can't wait to see what we have in store for next week. Bye.